we've been getting a lot of cool stuff out of Star Wars recently, and thanks to Vanity Fair, we get some
Yes.
really exciting, I guess, information, images. They've released video interviews, not just about Kenobi, but also about pretty much everything that's coming from the Disney Plus side of the world, which was really cool to see. Have you been kind of following that stuff?
I did, yeah. And of course, love Anthony Bresnikan's work, and of course, they got Annie Leibovitz to do all the photos, and it's beautiful. They cover all the big four, I guess, upcoming series: Mando season 3, Kenobi, Andor, and even a bit of the Acolyte.
A little bit of acolyte
A
news.
little bit, not much, but just a little bit, and a little bit of the films as well. I was surprised. There was a lot of very interesting information they dropped. Nothing I would say earth shattering, but
I think people have forgotten that there's movies coming because of all the
yeah.
TV stuff. I was talking to a friend who's pretty versed in Star Wars, knows his stuff for the most part. Maybe not as crazy diehard as we are. And he was like, "Yeah, all this TV stuff, but like no movies. They haven't announced anything." And I'm like, "No, there's some movies coming."
There's a
Like,
lot there.
he's like,
There's
"Really?" And I
yeah.
kind of started to go down the list in my head, and I'm like, "Yeah, but it's more like movies that we know are coming, but we don't know the title of the movie. We kind of know who's working on it, or the writer, or the
Mhm.
director, and that type of stuff. But I think the only titled movie that's coming is Rogue Squadron.
Yeah. Yeah.
But everything else is still kind of a mystery.
And last we heard that was on hiatus due to scheduling. It sounds like it's still a little ways off, but
But not like
maybe
all the
the second
way
movie in the roadmap now. So
right. But it's not like canned, right? Or maybe
no,
it's
they definitely
okay.
confirmed it's still happening.
Okay,
So
okay.
yeah.
I think that somewhere out there, Ryan Johnson's still saying that his movies are happening, right? So,
They actually they brought that up in the Vanity Fair piece.
oh, did
They
they?
said, yeah, that actually I gotta find let me find the exact quote. Um basically they did address the
I
filming.
remember. I'll fill some time while you find it,
Yeah.
but I remember not too long ago, within the past however many months, but somebody asked him, Ryan Johnson, like, okay, what about your movies, your Star Wars movies? And he said he didn't say that they were 100% still happening, but he kind of implied that he was still working on it, like still doing
Yeah,
something around it.
and that could fit with Lucasfilm's quote. So Anthony Bresnikan says this is, of course, his writing, and the trilogy that the Last Jedi is Ryan Johnson from Last Jedi is Ryan Johnson that was announced 5 years ago, backburnered. And then he has a quote from Lucasfilm that says, so backburnered is not Lucasfilm's words,
Hmm.
but and then he quotes Lucasfilm saying, "Quote: Ryan has been unbelievably busy with Knives Out and the deal he made at Netflix for multiple movies." End quote. So
So, in other words, we never officially canceled him, but he's too busy to do them. So
that's kind of
maybe
my read. Yeah, like
somewhere
maybe
down the
there's a
road,
chance it'll happen. Maybe.
10 years,
Yeah.
20 years from now, they'll finally get to the Ryan Johnson trilogy. I mean,
Yeah.
it's funny because I remember when they first announced it, I wasn't a huge fan of The Last Jedi. And then they're like, oh, he's got this trilogy. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I'm excited for any Star Wars, but at the same time, I wasn't loving his version of Star Wars. So I'm like, I don't know if I want three more movies from him. Now that enough time has passed, and I actually really, really enjoyed Knives Out, the first one.
Oh yeah.
And so now I'm kind of thinking, oh, maybe I'm ready to give him another chance. So I don't know. Like, it's probably
Yeah.
not going to happen anytime soon, anyways. So, we have a lot of time to think about it, but maybe someday I'll enjoy a Ryan Johnson Star Wars
Yeah,
movie.
I really like his movies. I think The Last Jedi had, I would say it's not perfect. There's things I love about it, and there's things I don't like about it. I'm kind of, I guess, in the middle when it comes to like the two
Yeah.
camps.
And I wouldn't even call myself in the negative camp
Yeah.
completely. I think I'm kind of, I'm probably in the middle, leaning negative. Like,
Gotcha.
but there's
Just
plenty of
barely,
there's
just
plenty
barely.
of good stuff in that movie that I
Yeah.
do enjoy, and I do rewatch it. It's not like I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, I'll never watch that movie again,
Right.
and it's an
Same. Yeah.
abomination.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, it's not my style of Star Wars, and a lot of the decisions he made I didn't love, but there's still good things in that movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. So I'd be very interested to see what he does, especially in a trilogy that is more of his own, where there isn't expectations
Mhm.
for particular characters necessarily, or plot points, etc. Where I think that's where a lot of the frustrations from the fans come
Yeah.
from. It's not from the film itself or how it was made. It was more of the choices with the characters. And if you're in a new area, a new era, potentially, or new characters, then you can kind of do whatever you want in many ways.
Right.
So I don't know. Yeah.
It's crazy where we're at right now in Star Wars, if you really think about it. And at least for me personally, when I think about, if somebody had told me, after the prequels and even after the sequels were over, if somebody had told me that we will someday have a live action Ahsoka, that Ewan McGregor's coming back to play Obi-Wan Kenobi, Tim Morrison's coming back to play a resurrected Boba Fett, that will have another show focused on a Mandalorian, and they're going to give us another version, like another alien Yoda species as a main character,
right?
Or even that Andor is getting his own series. Like, I would have bet against that 7 days a week. Like, there's I would just like, no, stop, shut up.
There's
like,
no way.
They're not.
Come on, stop.
Even just 2 or 3 of those things happening, I would have bet against. But all of that stuff, it kind of blows your mind a little bit what they've really been able to do, or at least what they have done. Some of that stuff already, and some's coming. But even just saying Ewan McGregor comes back to play Obi-Wan, I would have bet against that. And that's
right.
That's kind of the next thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was just thinking back to that announcement. What was it?
Celebration.
Fall of 2020, I think, where they announced all the new upcoming Star Wars series. And I was actually curious. I wonder which ones are, because there's actually more than what they talked about. There's like the Lando series that's theoretically still happening. There, of course, there's another one they actually semi-announced in this article. But I was trying to find. I know it's somewhere here in my old show notes. But I'd be very curious to see. There's a lot of Star Wars content in the pipeline. And yeah, like you said, I never would have believed it.
Right.
If you mentioned this.
Coming along with Celebration is Kenobi, right? So Celebration happens, starts next week. Kenobi, the first episode is next Friday.
Yes, next Friday. We're gonna like see it together potentially, like
probably, right?
Stay up late, go watch the first episode of Kenobi when it drops. Unless I still have a theory that maybe I'll do a surprise screening as at Celebration. But
yeah, I don't know where they'd fit it in. And we can talk about the Celebration schedule, because I do have some, not that I have any issues with it, but just kind of some observations, I guess, maybe about how it's a little different this time around than in the past. But yeah, we'll talk about the Celebration. So anything else that in the, Kenobi, stuff, Vanity Fair stuff, anything else that sticks out to you? I mean, Hayden Christensen, seeing him back, that's the other thing. I guess I didn't even list that as a thing to be shocked by, but Hayden Christensen's coming back,
right? And Hayden Christensen, Ewan McGregor, like,
right, and together, so it's kind of like they're continuing the prequels in a way, because they're bringing back the same actors from the prequels, and now they're doing this 6-episode series. I'm very curious. Hayden Christensen, to me, I'm not as big of a prequel fan as you. You're a lot younger than me. You grew up, you have that excuse. I was a kid. I didn't know any better.
I mean, Attack of the Clones did come out my 12th birthday. So it was like perfectly timed.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Perfectly timed. So I was kind of an older teen into my early 20s as those movies were coming out. So I was already a little jaded, but still enjoyed them. But Hayden Christensen wasn't somebody who I was like, oh, amazing actor. I loved him as Anakin. Like, it's just kind of like, okay. But him coming back, he's older, he's more mature. I loved hearing his interviews. He just seems like totally psyched to be a part of it again, which you would think that maybe that wouldn't be the case with somebody like him who, had some negative things said about him when he played that role. And I'm sure he was more than happy to be away from it for a while. But enough time has passed that he's kind of seems like very excited to be a part of it again. Now he still has the same kind of low key charisma when you hear him interviewed. It's funny to see him and Ewan McGregor being interviewed, back to back, because McGregor just has all this charisma and personality, and it's kind of just like popping off the screen. And then you have Hayden, and he's just kind of, yeah, I'm excited to do this again. Just very kind of low key, but still you can see that he is excited.
He is. Yeah, he is. And that's one of the things I love is just seeing how excited the actors are to be back. It's not just the fans, it's the actors who are like, yeah, we're coming back, and like you said, some of them got a lot of hate, early on. And, seeing them so excited to be back, like Ewan McGregor, like Hayden, it makes me very happy to see.
It was cool to see Moses Ingram interviewed as well.
Yeah.
She's going to be playing Riva, one of the Inquisitors. It seems like the main Inquisitor, although we do have other Inquisitors that are going to be in it based on the trailers. She seems like she's going to kind of be the focus one. And so it was kind of cool to see her interviewed and just kind of get a sense of her personality. She seems really cool. And I think she's going to play a really cool character.
Yeah, I agree. I'm very excited to learn more about all of their roles. Yeah, I guess you were asking like anything else. There were the other couple, I think, big pieces were Andor was confirmed for late summer, which is exciting. We knew it was happening this year, but now it says this summer for sure. Mando will be late fall or early 2023, which we knew, but there were some rumors with Mando starting in the summer. Of course, Bad Batch is what they didn't even mention. And the John Watts series, the post Return of the Jedi coming of age series, that was also brand new that they put in that was kind of confirmed in this Vanity Fair piece.
Oh yeah. And I'm assuming that one's pretty far off still though.
It sounds like it. Yeah, John Watts is working on it. It's kind of supposed to be styled like the old the Amblin classic 80s films. It sounds like it's still early in production. They're
going to do their best version of Stranger Things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I actually, since we're talking about this also, the one other interesting piece they mentioned was how they learned that recasting isn't the best thing for Star Wars. Kathleen Kennedy said, quote, "Now it does seem so abundantly clear that we can't do that."
I thought that was an interesting quote.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I don't know that that's why that movie failed.
I agree.
I mean, it could be part of it.
Yeah.
But I don't know that that's why. And it almost feels like she's kind of
passing it off.
Yeah, like, this is a good excuse. But I think there was a lot more around
it failed
that.
for a lot of reasons. I mean, I think part of it was the timing so soon after The Last Jedi and the fact that they didn't really market it as much. And like The Last Jedi came out and then Solo was out like, a month after the Blu-ray release, basically, of Last Jedi. And
you can kind of, you look at that and say, okay, but what other major character have they recast as a much younger version of themselves?
Right. They have done it before.
Obi-Wan,
right? Like Ewan McGregor.
And he is a huge success. He was seen as the bright spot in the prequels for everyone. And, now they're having a whole show focused around him. So, you can't blame it all on that. But
yeah, I honestly feel though, personally, I think, and I know eventually Star Wars gets, you can't really move on unless you recast. You can't continue the stories of those characters. And personally, I think I don't mind recasting when it's for a different age, like Al Guinness versus Ewan McGregor, right? Mm-hmm. For example. But when it's like someone who's within like a couple years and they're not like growing up like Jake Lloyd to Hayden Christensen, that's where I think it starts to get a little fuzzier. Like, ooh, should you not?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But in a way, they've like even the Luke Skywalker thing,
right?
They can't get Mark Hamill to come back and play young Luke Skywalker, so they
limited what they can do.
They kind of recast that in a way with a digital version of him, stand-in actors. So that's not Mark Hamill, and fans for the most part accepted it. There was definitely some criticisms around it, but I don't think that you can just say, oh, people aren't going to accept, the recasting. And well, what does that mean for Lando? Because if they're going to do a Lando series, you would kind of assume that would be
Right.
Donald Glover,
right?
And or is that her way of saying we're not doing that anymore?
Great question. I don't know. It's a very interesting comment. So again, I don't know if it, like you said, I don't know if it necessarily is the reasoning, or the right lesson necessarily, but I don't know. There's a part of it's like, yeah, I didn't love the recasting. I thought they did fine. It's, you can't match Harrison Ford.
I mean, they recast Chewbacca too. I mean, it's a different
right, exactly. That's totally fine.
So, I thought he did great.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly. Anyway, well, definitely an interesting, worth the read. Very interesting piece.
Yes, and it's a lot to be excited for, and we don't have to wait too long, for a few of these series. Did they say when is Ahsoka coming out?
Next year, 2023.
Next year. Okay, so we definitely have Kenobi, Andor, and possibly Mando season 3.
Yep, and the Bad Batch. This
in Bad Batch
sometime this year too.